Hey guys, I'm Billy with Spectre, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to talk about some more gear stuff, which I don't love doing, but one of the questions on my most recent video was like, hey, what ear pro are you using? I thought, it's actually good, a good time for an update because I've gone through a couple more iterations what I'm doing in terms of hearing protection, and I've recommended some of these products, over the years, and I've used them long enough now that I'm seeing when things fall apart and break and so forth, and kind of informing those opinions a little bit more. So I thought it was time to kind of run through the gamut of what I think are some of the leading options in hearing protection for shooters right now, and kind of what my experience has been, and hopefully give you guys some helpful tips. We'll start with over the ears. Now, before I dive into this, everyone's gonna say, well, you can just get like a basic pair of muffs from like Lowe's or whatever. And yes, you can. Number one, definitely get good quality hearing protection though. But you can get, whether it's passive plugs or passive muffs, way cheaper hearing protection. However, for me, I'm a professional, firearms instructor. I'm in classes all the time, and I have to be able to hear what people are saying. The same thing goes if you're just a shooter who's taking classes and training a lot. Some kind of electronic hearing protection, in my mind, is an absolute must because you've got to be able to hear what the instructor is saying, what other folks in your class are saying, not only for you to get value out of it, but for safety reasons. And it's really difficult to do that when you have passive hearing protection on, and it's going to be a real pain in the neck to be taking them on and off all day. Some of the plugs that you have that have, passive openings and that kind of a thing can kind of work around that a little bit cheaper, but generally I wouldn't recommend those when you're shooting rifles and stuff like that. You're going to want electronic hearing protection, and it's not that expensive. The first option that I'm going to kind of show you here is probably the best budget option that I still recommend to this day. This is what I started and used for years, and these are the Howard Light Impact Sports. They're coming in at around 75 bucks. Now, are they the best? No, they're just pretty decent. They're pretty okay, Do they have the best audio quality? No. Do they have the best battery life? No, although they'll probably last you a couple months for an average, shooter who's out there getting training regularly. Are they the most durable? No. Here's my actual original set right here. Actually, I think the battery cap may have just broken. But you can tell they are very well loved, and worn out completely. Right now, in my mind, one of the biggest downsides to a set of hearing protection like this is going to be the comfort factor. When you're wearing this on your head, obviously there's going to be pressure, building up sweat, all that kind of stuff. And what these come with, the cheaper ones typically come with, is the foam ear cups, right? You wear these for 8 hours a day, 2 days in a row. You're probably getting headaches, that kind of a thing, right? So again, totally fine for your couple-hour range session, even shooting matches, that kind of a thing. And for an occasional class use, again, probably fine. But if you're doing it, every day, every week, maybe not the best choice. Now, a great upgrade for any kind of hearing protection, when you can get away with it, is going to be gel cups. And who used to make that for these, that was great, and I used to recommend these all the time, was Noise Fighters. They still make them. However, they did have a change in the formula, I believe, that really changed the quality of these gel ear cups. You can see this is a set of Noise Fighters, and I think you can kind of probably tell they are just completely flattened and unusable. Now, these are pretty old, but I generally see them looking something like this within a matter of just a month or two. And to me, these are expensive enough. I mean, these are almost as much as the hearing protection themselves. For me, I would not want to be buying these every few months if I was running those. Just to give you an idea, this the gel cups. We'll talk about these in a second that come on other hearing protection. And these are 4 years old, and they still look like that, which is what they're supposed to look like. So I don't have a great recommendation for that right now. Again, I think these are okay, for most shooters just to run with the foam cups that come with them. But it is a bummer that I don't have a better recommendation on the gel cup side of the house right now. Hopefully you guys let me know down in the comments if there's something new out there that I'm not aware of. If you're going to upgrade, right, from something like the Howard Lights to higher end hearing protection, there's obviously a bunch of options. If you want comms, maybe you're looking at things like Peltors, right? If you're going really bougie, maybe you're looking at something like autos or whatever, if you're trying to mount them to a helmet or whatever the case may be. However, my go-to for over-the-ear hearing protection is these right here. These are the Sordens from MSA, the Supreme Pro X's. One of the cool things is, again, they come with the gel cups, which are really great. Again, these gel cups right here are 4 years old, and they're still going very, very strong, and I wear these, obviously, all the time. Now, these are a little bit different. These are the ones that have the over-the-head support band on them, so it's just this Velcro strap with the behind-the-neck actual sort of style clamp. You don't have to get these. You can get the standard over the head band. What I find is when that provides more pressure on top of the head, particularly obviously if you're wearing a hat and it has that little button right there, you'll get some real soreness and even some headaches from that pressure of the band itself. To me, these are significantly more comfortable with just that kind of very, very slight tension from the soft band over the head. And then there's really no contact of that band behind the neck where you're actually getting the kind of the clamping pressure there from that. And if you ever do need to, throw a helmet or whatever on over these, then you can absolutely do that. Audio quality on these is way better. These also have the ability to plug in a headphone jack. If you want to actually play music inside of these, you can. There's also aftermarket comm support. You can mount these to helmets. You can do all kind of cool stuff with these. But they are more expensive. So now we're getting into like the $270, $300 range. I have found the support to be way better on these as well. I had one of these before this pair. So 4 years ago, I wore these. They're supposed to be waterproof, but I had a pair that I wore out all day long in the worst rain that I've ever had in a class. And I did have a pair of these go bad on me. And MSA literally had no questions asked. I've still got that pair around somewhere. They just sent me out a new one. New set, no questions asked. And that was really, really impressive to me. So I've been impressed with MSA's support in this product as well. So these are really solid, great battery life, great audio quality, probably the best audio quality that I've seen in a set of over-ears ever, and very comfortable. Highly recommend the MSA Swordens. Let's talk about in-ear a little bit, okay? Again, we'll kind of go budget on up. So if you're looking for just a really budget pair of hearing protection buds, this may be the ticket for you. I like these a lot. These are the Peltor EEPs, and it's just a basic set of in-ear buds. Right now, I have the tri-flange tips on these. Like any kind of buds, these are maybe kind of dry rotted, but you can obviously interchange the tips on here. Peltor makes the skull screws, which are pretty expensive, but the foam tips you can put on here, different sizes of the tri-flange tips. So much about the fit is going through that process of finding tips that are going to work well for you with these kind of in-ear buds, right? But these are really good. I like these a lot. Ran them for years. The battery life is excellent. I first right when I got these, I ran them at Ohio Range Day, that kind of a thing. So you're doing 12-hour days in the range, and the battery life was fine as long as I kind of plug it in generally over lunch. You're good to go in that regard. They have three volume levels, which worked great for me. I always ran it pretty much all the way up, but it went great. The audio quality is decent. It's not the best, but it's definitely decent, right? They make two versions of these. So the EEPs are this one, and what it is you've got a plug-in on the side of this to charge the buds, right? Now what this does, there's no battery in the case at all. When you plug it in, it's just directly charging the buds. The battery life on the buds, generally, when I first got them, was long enough to last through a whole day. But like as an example, if you're doing 2 days in the range, you 100% are going to have to charge these overnight, which is not great because if you forget to do it, you get up, your earbuds are dead. So that was kind of the downside to me on these. And so that led me to these, the auto noise barriers. And man, I have recommended these so heavily because they are incredible, right? Compared to the Peltors, they are significantly smaller and lighter, right? Now, that may not sound like a big deal. I mean, I don't really care about it in terms of aesthetics, but like one of the cool things about these buds is say that you are, running next to, a rifle with a break indoors. I can actually turn the electronics on these buds, run the Swordens right over top of them, still hear everything that everybody is saying. They don't really have any kind of conflict or whatever, and it is completely comfortable. Those autos are small enough that I don't feel any pressure from sort of double plugging here, from running the over ears over top of the buds. It works great for, indoor ranges, that kind of a thing. Or if you just want extra protection on your ears when you're using those buds. The sound quality is phenomenal. The best of any buds that I've ever run personally. But probably the best thing about it is the battery life. Not only when I first got these were they plenty to go all day long. But this case actually has a phenomenal battery inside of it. When I say phenomenal, I literally charge this case probably once every 6 months just to say that I did it. I've never actually ran it down to where it ran out of battery ever. And again, I'm on the range a lot, and I was using these constantly. One of the downsides that I think to these or to these, anytime you have something that has a rechargeable battery in it, obviously every time you charge that battery, it's going to be losing life, right? It's going to shorten how much the capacity of that battery is. And that's obviously true for any kind of a rechargeable battery. The case battery is large enough that I'm not even like close to being concerned about it. 4 years in, by the way, to running this case. However, I am to the point after using these very, very heavily for about 4 years where the buds now are dying after about 4 to 6 hours of continuous use. So if I've got, an all-day match, as an example, where I'm just kind of eating on the fly and I'm not, taking these off, or an all-day class, whatever it is, these will not make it the whole day, which is pretty disappointing. So, but again, for $440, $100 a year, I still honestly recommend these. And again, if you're not actually using them and cycling them as much as I do, you're probably going to get way better life out of them. Again, I run, kind of the tri-flange tips in here, just like the Peltors, they come with, the foam tips. So you got to find whatever works better for you. One of the challenges, I think, with the autos is that, they are very heavily focused on the military contract side of things. So it can be a little bit difficult. Like when I kind of wore these flanges out and wanted to replace them, I literally had to order a pack of 30, off the auto website. So, that's a little bit of a downside, as well. But in general, I mean, these really are a phenomenal piece of gear, right? The one thing that I got a little bit worried about with these is that, I think that the tri-flange tips do a pretty good job as far as decibel reduction. And for any kind of casual shooter, I would be very, very comfortable recommending these for protecting your hearing. However, I'm on the range multiple days a week, every single week, sometimes around very loud guns. And I was just starting to, realize that, as your ears get really sweaty or whatever, maybe one of the buds just kind of shifts a little bit, and I would get a blast or two of louder, volume from a gunshot than I should, and I would have to kind of tweak the earpiece back in. And I was like, you know what? This is happening enough for me with how consistently I'm on the range that I may want to step my game up. And that's where these guys come in. Again, I'm probably not going to recommend that very many people go out and get these unless you just want a really high quality premium product. What this essentially is, Harris & Sons has an audio lab. They essentially, make hearing aids and stuff like that. That's essentially what this is. It's essentially a custom molded hearing aid with, just normal electronics in it. So, it's your hearing electronics are on a custom molded, hearing protection, I guess is a better way of saying it. So you have to, when you order these, you have to, go to an audiologist, get them to actually do a mold of your ear canal so that it is going to be, a perfect fit. And then you get, a custom molded earplug with, again, essentially hearing aid, from what I understand, audio in there. This is a very premium product. You're probably paying somewhere between, $1,500 to $3,000, depending on which version of these you get from Harris & Sons. It is an absolutely top-notch product. It really, really is. One of the things I like about these is that the battery life is phenomenal, but it uses, hearing aid batteries. So, they'll send you packs, quite a lot of packs, actually, of, the hearing aid batteries when you order these. I've killed one set of batteries since I got these a few months ago. And you just swap the batteries out when they die. You don't have to worry about keeping things charged, which is really great. These are, very, very comfortable. They obviously provide, because it's a custom mold, really a really perfect seal. And the audio is top notch as well. I got the F4s. One of the interesting things about the Harris & Sons plugs is they have these, multiple audio programs. And I never really felt the need for that, wearing these, as an example. The audio out of these is phenomenal. As a matter of fact, to be completely honest, I think I probably like the audio out of these a little bit more than I do in my Harris & Sons, to be completely honest with you, which is a little bit disappointing, based upon the cost. But I think it's just, due to the size of the electronics and really the fact that there's essentially, nothing sticking out of the ear, like with these. So there's just not as much room for that microphone to kind of exist there. And it's just, you're getting that comfort and the better seal, it's kind of a trade-off, right? So again, the audio is great. I think maybe what I perceive as lower quality audio is not so much that I have difficulty hearing or that things aren't clear. It's just sometimes the tonality of it is not quite there. And I actually think this might be because, when I read through the programs that are built into these, Harrison Son seems to be big on, trying to compress certain frequencies and let others through. They have one that's literally like, hey, we're going to compress everything except for the tone of like a round hitting steel that you would need to hear and the tone of a timer. And it's like, I get the idea, the idea for that is like when I'm shooting a match, I don't want to be letting all the distracting noises in. We've all been there where you are, in your start position, and there's someone talking about you like very loudly over your shoulder, or at least this is what happens to me all the time. And it can be distracting and it can get in your head. So I think the idea is it's supposed to help you focus a little bit better and tune out some of those distracting noises. However, there is no such thing as the tone of a round hitting a piece of steel. As somebody who's done some audio engineering, that can happen on a very wide range of frequencies, right? Just like there's all kind of timers that have a wide range of frequencies that those beeps happen, and there's absolutely overlap between those tones and other things that are going on. And so when you hear those other things and certain tones are squashed, it can sound a little strange, right? So I generally just use the general program that is not supposed to have any weird compression like that, and that's kind of the one that I tend to stick with on these earbuds. But so anyway, again, for most folks, I think you're probably not going to want to, spend that much money on a pair of these. I'm going to keep playing with them, and eventually I'll probably put out another version of this video with some updates and let you know kind of what my experience is with them. But that's kind of my rundown on the hearing protection that I have used and the main ones that I'd probably look at, depending on, again, your budget and what exactly you're looking for a good set of hearing protection, right? So hope that's helpful, guys. If you have questions, drop them below, and I'll be more than happy to try to add on to this if we need to. But unless there's anything else, we'll see you next time.